Hello all. In this particular video, I am actually going to share you my own practical experience in terms of the common mistakes or the common pitfalls in the path of a scaled agile framework implementation. Right. So many of the companies are actually embarking on the safe implementation as a part of their enterprise agility. Now, based on my experience, I just thought to make this particular video to actually tell, hey, what are all the common mistakes which we generally tend to make when we are trying to implement the safe framework. Okay, just to quickly introduce about myself, my name is Balaji and I am currently playing the role of an executive coach and a leadership agile mentor. So one of the common pattern what I have seen in the safe implementation is people actually jump into the safe implementation without doing the enough prerequisites or the precursor activities, either in terms of the training or in terms of the value stream identification workshop, because some client wanted to do it in a safe manner. So what they do is that quickly just convert the project teams or the product teams into art. Let us try to understand that this is the fundamental mistake when we try to take a project team and then map it to an agile release train, because an art is a cross-functional team, right? And we are not very sure that every project do have a cross-functional team. So just to begin this particular video in a very organized manner, the first point what we need to look at is, do we have clarity on the vision of the transformation? Okay, so what is the compelling reason, what is the compelling reason or the tipping point which is enabling me to do some kind of a change? Okay, because transformation is not just doing Scrum or Kanban, right? It is about an organization change management aspect or a process also. So understanding the vision of the transformation, and then why am I actually implementing safe as a framework, safe as an enabler to get it done, one need to have a clarity. So if you just go to someone and then ask the team member, hey, why are you actually implementing safe, one actually should not tell that my manager told to implement or my client told to implement. Yes, your answer is correct, but do you really understand why are you doing that? So we need to have a clarity, what are all the envisaged benefits which we plan to attain by actually implementing the safe. So one need to have a clarity on the vision or the goal of the particular transformation. Second thing is the common pattern what I have seen is, people tend to think safe is only for IT. Absolutely no. Safe is not only for a IT team. Safe is for a lean enterprises, right? Because if you take companies like Philips, Siemens, if you take companies like Boeing, all these companies are implementing safe. Do they only have IT? Absolutely no, right? So we need to understand IT is one of the important fragment or the pillar in that entire landscape. But from a systems thinking point of view, your shared services, and you have lot of interconnected departments in your organization, because an organization or an enterprise is a living entity, right? So having the mindset that scaled agile framework is only for IT is a myth. So we need to come out of that particular myth. Okay, so the third point what I like to say is, getting into the safe journey without doing the enough trainings, without doing the initial procedures or processes in the safe implementation roadmap. Because if you just go to scaledagileFramework.com, and then if you click on the implementation roadmap, safe actually gives us a kind of a roadmap. Now the problem is people selectively pick and choose only few things, because in the name of contextualization, if you selectively pick and choose only few things, you are actually diluting the principles of the SAFe, or rather you are violating the principles of the SAFe. In the name of contextualization, please do not cut the elements in the please do not cut the elements in the implementation roadmap, because we need to understand every icon or every training which has been given in the part of the SAFe implementation roadmap has a purpose behind it. Okay, so to begin the journey, I have told some 3 or 4 points. Okay, then one more change what I have, one more reason for a failure what I can see is doing the transformation without making any kind of a structural changes. When I say structural changes, if you are organized around a cost center based budgeting, or see, for example, I have seen places wherein many of the companies blindly take a program manager and then fit it to a RTE, and blindly take a delivery manager and then fit it to a STE. I don't understand why such kind of things happen, because the capabilities, the roles and responsibilities of a delivery manager is something distinctively different from the capabilities and roles and responsibilities expected from a RTE, STE, right? Okay, I understand from the perspective that an organization has a limitation and a constraint of not getting the people fit onto these roles. Okay, which I fully understand and I respect that particular limitation, but that actually doesn't mean we blindly take people from a program management background and then you deploy him as an RTE, and you take your delivery manager and then position him as a solution train engineer. Absolutely no. So that is the reason in the SAFe's implementation roadmap, we are actually clearly saying right kind of trainings need to be given so as to build a capability and also shift in the mindset level. Once you are done with all these things, then you can think about positioning the respective people at the respective place. Okay, fine. And one more common pattern which we actually see as a pitfall in the SAFe implementation is, many of you also know it, generally in many of the engagements, the innovation and the planning sprint is not being followed. Like no meaning to say that particular sprint is followed, but the actual work what we do is actually not actually oriented to the innovation and the planning. So many of the companies, what they actually do is they actually try to wind up the whatever the residual activities of the previous sprint or the current iteration or the current sprint, and they okay, and they also do some kind of a planning for the next program increment, right? Because if you are in the innovation and planning sprint, what it means is you are in the last sprint or the iteration of the current PI. So not using innovation and planning, which is called as an IP sprint, for a continuous improvement is actually one of the common mistakes or the pitfalls what we see in the SAFe, what we see in the SAFe implementation. Okay, all right. Other point which actually comes to my mind is, let's say a company, okay, I actually don't want to name the company names, you all know it in a general service providing industry what happens. Okay, let us take a client. Now this particular client has actually outsourced this particular transformation to some other consulting group. Okay, let's say a third party or an external consulting group comes, and then they are going to partner with this company so as to do the agile transformation or the SAFe implementation. I have seen in my experience the in-house managers or the in-house leaders of this organization, okay, used to have a mindset, hey, that particular consulting group is anyway going to take care of the transformation. Absolutely no. Consulting group will be experts in terms of SAFe implementation, but who is going to tell them the contextual knowledge? Who is going to give them the grip on the product ecosystem and the project landscape, right? So it is a 50-50 responsibility that they are not going to do safe implementation. They are work together with you so as to implement safe. Right? From that perspective, don't ever delegate the transformation and then think things will things will happen by itself. Okay. Okay. Then one more point what I have seen is that since we have a lot of processes at a team level, at a program layer, at a solution train level, and at a portfolio layer, I have seen in my experience, people have a checklist kind of a mentality, right? So when I say a checklist kind of a mentality, okay, had we assigned RTE? Yes. Had we assigned STE? Yes. Had I created features? Okay. They just make a tick. See, it is not just the activities which are performed is important, right? We also need to understand what is the impact that the activity had created. So, what am I trying to see is maintaining a checklist to ensure that the things are tracked is perfectly fine. But the point is, just because you are maintaining a checklist, it doesn't guarantee you success. Okay. So one need to come out of that particular checklist mentality. Okay. As I had already mentioned, one of the points, the political role assignments within a particular organization always tend to preserve the power structure or the power equation. Okay, this is a line which I got from one of the Harvard University material, which is saying the political role assignments of an organization tend to preserve the power equation. Means what? This particular X. Okay, let us take a simple example. Let's say a person Ram and Sham. Ram is a program manager. Okay, and Sham is a delivery manager, and this guy Ram is actually reporting to this guy called as Sham. Now, what happens is that companies tend to think, hey, Ram is reporting to Sham, so we cannot make Sham as an RTE. We can make Ram as an RTE, and Ram's manager Sham should be STE. So, what are you trying to do is to preserve the power equation or the hierarchy or the designational hierarchy in your organization. You are taking it and then mapping it to the safe. I'm not saying that things may not work out, but there is a higher probability of things to go wrong if you have not trained these two people oriented to that particular role, because it is not the person, right? Every role demands certain capabilities, certain competencies, and certain attitude and a mindset. So it is filling the right person with the right positions. So just because your organizational hierarchy as XYZ does not necessarily mean you take this X and position him as an RTE. You take this Y and position him as an STE. Because the same pattern I have seen in product owner, product management group, solution management group, epic owner, right? So immediately people have the tendency of actually taking A is reporting to B, B is reporting to C, and C is reporting to D in the organization hierarchy ladder. So I tend to move this person A as a product owner, B as a product management group head, C as a solution management group head, D as the epic owner. I don't think you can take your organizational hierarchy, your outlook properties, designation, and then you can just map it back to a framework. Okay, because basically the reason why am I discussing all these things is in my 12 and of in my almost my 12 plus years of experience in Agile, I have executed a lot of safe transformations in the past. So once you know the pitfalls, you can be more careful going forward whenever you are going for a safe implementation. So the objective of this video is not to pinpoint the mistakes. The objective of this video is to tell, hey, these are all the places where the tendency to slip and fall down is actually more. So let us be better cautious, okay, while we are actually treading the path. All right. Okay, and one more point which I like to say is, many companies I have seen, they actually take the SAFe implementation roadmap which is given by the SAFe, and then they try to copy paste it in a PPT, or they do some kind of a minimum changes here and then try to give a presentation. No, absolutely no, because even in the SAFe implementation roadmap, you do have an arc which is clearly saying create your own implementation plan. So in that particular implementation plan, you need to bring you need to bring your contextualization into the framework, right? So just think through in your own product ecosystem, or actually in your own project landscape, know how you can actually contextualize the implementation of the SAFe. Now, I think we have talked about enough on the process and all these things. Now, all these things will not make any relevance if there is no technical agility, right? In terms of your test-driven development, behavior-driven development, acceptance test-driven development, feature-driven development, domain-driven design, then story-driven development, and the CI/CD, and my pair programming, continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment, maintaining a solid principle, creating a technical debt remediation plan, okay, and also followed by having some kind of a enterprise level architecture reference guidelines, without having without having a clean code, without having a team level technical without having a team level technical agility. If I try to implement the SAFe, believe me, only problems will get multiplied. I cannot scale up on a crappy code. Okay, so you cannot build a scalable model if you are not doing enough justice at the team level activities or the team level technical agility. Okay, fine. So the intention of this video is to tell, hey, these are all the common pitfalls what we generally tend to see when you are going for a SAFe implementation. And one more pitfall what I have seen is not actually focusing on the non-functional requirements from the beginning. Okay, so people tend to think about the architectural runway and then building the enablers only at the later program increments. Absolutely no. If you want to do things proactively, your architectural runway need to be there from the first sprint of the first sprint of the program increment, first week of the first sprint of the program increment. Like this, if you plan, I cannot, like, if you maintain all these checks and balances, whatever I have mentioned in this video, I cannot assure you perfection, but definitely I can assure you a refinement along the journey. Okay, and before I end this particular video, if you have any real-time challenges in the SAFe implementation, okay, probably you can connect with me. And I also do some kind of a SAFe related certifications. If you need any help too, you can actually connect with me. Okay, cheers, thanks, bye.